Okay, this is September meeting, regular meeting of the Greenwich Township Land Use Board. There's local order. This is a regular meeting of the Land Use Board of the Township of Greenwich. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. In that notice was published in the Express Times and Star Ledger newspapers. Notice was posted on the municipal bulletin boards in the Township Administration Building, Greenwich Township, New Jersey, and the notice was filed with the Township Clerk. Roll call, please.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes, here.
Mr. Beam?
Here.
Mr. Chicallo?
Here.
Ms. Cullen?
Here.
Mr. Hill?
Here.
Mr. Blunt?
Here.
Ms. Sherlaw?
Not here yet.
Mr. Bradlow?
Here.
Ms. Parker?
Not-
Mr. Graham?
So I did receive requests to be excused from Mr. Baylor, from Bill Biami, and from Dana Parker. So I'd like a motion to excuse Bill Biami, Brian Baylor, and Dana Parker.
I'll second.
And, Mark, roll call vote.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Chicallo?
Yes.
Mr. Baylor, or I'm sorry, Ms. Cullen?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Blunt?
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh?
Yes.
And Mr. Graham?
Okay, please rise for the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It has to mute.
Cameron, you can add Gunther in there.
Okay.
Okay, first
she's
order of
in here.
business is approval of minutes from the
Should be.
July
She
11th
said that's all
meeting.
I had to do.
Are there any questions, corrections, or anything of the July, for the July 11th minute? Let the record show that Andrea Sherman was just arrived.
Okay.
So, yeah, nothing.
So close.
It's always next month.
Okay, so she should be good now, right?
Yep.
She's on, yeah.
Okay, so if there are none, then I need a motion to adopt the July 11th meeting minutes as written. Make a motion. Mark. A second.
I'll second.
There you go. Roll call.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Mr. Beam?
Yes.
Mr. Chicallo?
Yes.
Ms. Cullen?
Abstain. Yeah, actually, Tammy, I think I have to abstain. I had to leave because it was D variances being talked about in that one. I wasn't here for the whole meeting,
Yeah, that's,
right? So Carrie, Tammy abstained from.
Okay, and Kathy. Okay. I said you.
Nope.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Blunt? Ms. Parker?
She's all right.
She's not here. Mr. Graham?
okay, before I go on, I guess it's like, first of all, Tammy is the assistant clerk in town. She's filling, we don't have a board secretary at this time. We did hire a board secretary who worked with us for maybe a little bit less than a month and decided that on top of the other responsibilities and jobs she had, she couldn't take on the extra responsibility. So we're in the process of interviewing board secretaries right now. If you happen to know somebody with good experience and they can get a resume to us quickly, that would be appreciated. In the meantime, Lisa Bird, has experience and she's been helping out and we're all kind of picking it up. So hopefully that won't be for too much longer. Okay, The next order of business in your package, you should have a letter from Mr. Bullios regarding the extension. Mr. Bullios here. Could you step forward, sir? Yeah. Or whoever.
Is it okay if I'm here, with Mr. Bullock?
Yes, that's fine.
The contract.
Do we need a, we need swearing in at all? There's not really no testimony.
Yeah, there's not testimony.
There's no
This is the
testimony. So
motion, something.
you sent in a letter asking for an extension.
Correct.
What can you tell us about it? Thank you.
Well, just for a variety of reasons having to do with miscommunication between professionals, I would say, being new to the situation. The time was allowed to elapse and it's for all the revisions and requirements that the resolution required are not done yet, so we would respectfully ask an extension so that we can finish it up and get the house built.
And how long of an extension do you need in order to get started on the process?
I'm gonna say it's only better to ask for more, not less. I would ask for 6-month extension.
Okay. Any comment? Well, so you didn't, are you basically gonna build the same house that you came before the board with?
Yeah, so it's a farmhouse.
Yeah.
It's, you know, same house.
Okay, so
It's the same thing, no change.
but within the constraints that were laid out
Yes.
within the original.
Yes.
Yeah,
no change.
The setbacks and all.
No,
We had actually submitted most of the revisions to Mike Finelli, and that's how we found out it had expired. But he started his review and said, hey, bad news, there's no project.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I said it quite like that.
Yeah, no.
Well, it was bad news. I probably didn't use that phrase.
Probably
I
didn't.
don't think I said there's no problem.
It's bad.
You did say that.
I did say
Yeah,
that.
and I think that was accurate.
well, we
I had to take that right out.
had Mark Zagoda and we had, Davis Engineering. Between both of them, they dropped the ball.
We don't need to get into that.
Well, let
We
me
need a
go.
little more time.
Yeah, it's okay. So do the board members have any questions for Mr. Bullios or? You, Alex?
I'm Alex.
Yeah.
You're Bruce.
Boy, it's been so long since I. met you.
Yeah, that's Alex. He popped into my office one day too. I was quite, had, I don't know, 8-10 years since I've seen him. So I was, yeah, it was name of the
Board
past.
members, any questions?
Is that 6 months from today or is it 6 months from expiration?
Well,
No,
no,
that was back in
everything's
April.
retroactive
Yeah, that
because
was-
when the original extensions went. So I think you should probably ask for a year
A year from when we
the,
expired,
what would have been the expiration date,
which is early April.
which is April. something or
Okay.
other. That
Yeah,
to
that
me,
makes more sense.
Yeah, okay.
because I think an honest, or attorney, but as far as the date perspective goes, the extension would go from where the first resolution had expired, right, the conditions,
Yeah,
Or- not from tonight.
so the municipal land use law, when it provides for extensions, specifically says you can ask for it after the expiration. But it starts from when it did
Yeah.
expire.
Okay. So yes, I think.
Good point.
So you were,
Yeah, okay. Board members, any? Yeah.
Is this the location at South Main 173?
Yeah,
Yes.
next.
500, 173, yes.
Okay.
Next.
I just wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right one.
173 in Maple.
You were submitting revisions to Mike, still within the guidelines of the
Yes, they were.
site plan that we are.
Everything stays as it is, as we submitted it.
They were responses to conditions created in the resolution.
The date in question, I think what we're talking about here, just so we put a date in the minutes and what would be the new resolution. This is condition 9, time to obtain construction permits and commence and complete construction. We're talking about the applicant shall apply for and obtain a zoning permit and a construction permit by April 13th, 2024, which is within 1 year of the date of the adoption of the resolution. So from April 13th, 2020.
Correct.
Okay. I don't think do we need to go to public on this? Or does it advertise?
it's always.
First of all,
the public's here. if they
Is,
wanna-
is there anyone from the public that has an interest in this issue? Let's see, no, okay, so then the motion would be to grant an extension. On this until April 13th, 2025.
Yes.
25, there have been no other changes to the approval.
Correct.
Okay.
There's still a number of compliance items that are outstanding, but Alex is working on them.
Well, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jeremy and Mark. And then a roll call when you're ready.
Okay. All right. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chicallo,
Yes.
Ms. Cullen. Yes. Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Mr. Bradlaugh.
Maybe. Go ahead.
You know, I think it's good Sherlock, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Ms. Sherlock. Yes. And Mr. Graham.
And what's that?
Thank you very much.
So the next thing on our agenda is for A and R New Jersey. We got late notice today, we discussed today, that actually their advertisement was deficient. And so we're not able to hear that. However, their attorney has asked John Drill and myself if we would be willing to have a special meeting on September 30th, which is the last Monday of the month. Do justice application. So the question to board members is this is a use variance. So we, to give a fair hearing to it, we would need 7 board members, not including the township officials. So can I see a raise of hands of who would be willing and able to attend a meeting on April 30th?
September 30th.
September 30th, September 30th, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got enough. So if you guys are okay with that, then we'll tell them to go ahead and advertise for that date. So mark your calendars. I will get email notices. Thank you. Okay.
Are we? 7:30 again?
Yeah.
I get to say 7:30.
Okay, I skipped one. We have the resolution for, if you recall from previous meeting, this was the deck over in Greenwich Chase. I sent out the resolution link, I sent out before. Any questions or comments on that? Yes.
I sent my comment to Mr. Joel directly with regards to it was at the 2, 3, 4, below the 4th paragraph, survey lot number and lot 16, block 23. Is that pertaining to this or is that a typo? Because it appears that because that lot and block is in a different part of the town.
I didn't bring the file because I was only gonna be the resolution, so let me just take a look at it. What do you, Gary, what was it again? Or
This is the resolution.
Talks about a survey. Here. What we're talking about this lot and block.
oh, that's a typo. Oh, yeah. Parker, I don't think Parker did their survey anyway, from my recollection.
Yeah.
So that is a typo.
So what
That
direction
makes it-
do we need to do?
Well, we need to change this survey of lot 16, block 23 to lot 65, comma, block 23.08. And then prepared by,
Yeah, and then the other thing was the secretary at the end. It was still listing Amy. That was my other comment to Mr. Drill.
I think this was actually done under the.
Well, I wasn't sure if that needed to change when it's actually being approved because tonight is the final.
Also, I think the board secretary to be filled in later.
Yeah.
wonder if there's a copy that.
What do you?
Well, to reference because
references to who prepared the survey, and without having the survey, when I see it, I'll recognize it, but I can't place it for sure who did it. So. Unless you just eliminate it,
Is there any reason why we,
well, we don't know, have the date either. It's probably, no, it's not November 8th.
he's,
It's clearly not November 8th.
all right, so we actually gave him permission to build the deck before the resolution was passed.
We did.
There's really no reason why we have to vote on this resolution tonight, is there?
I don't think so.
So
No,
so-
I understand, the work's done.
Yeah, we're done. So I guess I'd suggest that we forgo voting on this resolution until we get it corrected and handle it next time.
We may be able to do it on September 30th.
We may be able to do it on September 30th.
He went out over.
I put this map, I had the map, but whatever.
Like,
It don't happen.
Okay.
Did you find the old one?
yeah, I found our July. It's July 9th. It has the same mistake, but it does say Parker Engineering and Surveying. This is your letter, actually, Mike.
Oh,
Okay.
actually, yeah.
Well, he's got it there.
Okay, so it is Parker. Surveyable.
And that's why.
Oh,
was
it
was
says survey
referencing
of lot
something different?
16, block 23, so we started the typo problem, actually.
Or it's what's on it.
Yeah, because I think John just took what we had in our report and used that, and that's not correct. Because it's not block 23, lot 16. It's block 2308, lot 65. I say, there it is.
Motion to table this, or can we just leave
You
it?
know, it depends on whether you've got to put fix it with the path, because otherwise I don't even think you need a motion.
No, because I mean, Parker could be correct. The lot and block are wrong, and the date is clearly wrong. The date,
So Mike, is there any reason to just put it off and?
put it off. Absolutely. We're guessing.
Okay, our next order of business is application 2405, Clinton Ziegler, are you here?
Hey, that'll work.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Ziegler, and I'm here with my wife Caitlin. We live at 209 Richland Hill Road. We're here tonight to seek relief from section 6.
Hold on one second.
We need to swear you in,
Okay.
and we'll do the board professionals at the same time. Can you put your camera on?
Yeah, 25.
So this Kendra doesn't have anything on this application.
Okay, she's not.
It's not, yeah.
Okay. If you raise your right hand, you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, would you state your name and spell the last for the record?
Glenn Ziegler, Ziegler.
Michael Finelli, board engineer.
Hey, I'm Glenn Ziegler. I'm here with my wife Caitlin, and we live at 209 Richland Hill Road. And we're prepared tonight to seek relief from section 16-19A.3 pertaining to side yard setbacks to build an addition onto our home for our growing family. When my home was built in 1974, the side yard setback was 15 feet. Sometime in the meantime, it changed to 30, we believe. And my house is 21.1 feet from the property line. So my addition we're seeking to build stays at the same 21.1 feet, does not encroach any further onto the neighbors, who are in full support of the project and wrote a letter that's in the packet and is here tonight. The only location that the house will make sense to build the addition is in that location. We can't build it anywhere else due to the layout of our house. And does they have any further questions?
Mike, do you want to add anything to?
Well, depends how much information the board wants. There's one important aspect to this that I'll make a point to say, which I've included in our report. Okay. This lot is located in the HPA zone. And in the Highlands Preservation Area. We did include a grandfathering provision just to protect people like Mr. Ziegler when we developed and incorporated the RCD zone. Because all of our the subdivisions that we all live in, we didn't go through the list of them, none of the lots will even come close to complying. However, that grandfathering provision did not include the HPA zones. So this is the first time we've received an application in the HPA zones for an addition in this case, which obviously doesn't comply because it's actually common. The zoning would require a 100-foot side yard setback. Okay, so the lot, the entire width of the lot is 125 feet. So if you take 100 here and go 100 here, there's no building envelope left. So it's completely, it's very unworkable on many fronts in that respect. So Mr. Ziegler was required to secure his building permit for what he wants to do, build this addition, to come and seek variance relief from the board. So that's what we're dealing with.
Was there any particular reason why that grandfather wasn't included in the EPA?
Well, best as I can recall, this goes back quite a few years now. We thought that maybe the Highlands Preservation Area requirements themselves would kind of govern those lots. You know, this used to be in the R1 zone. Mr. Ziegler's right. It was, I think it went to 30 feet at one point many years ago. But all of the homes that run along Rickline Hill Road in that area are all pretty much very similar. Their lot sizes are pretty similar. The location of the houses on the lots are similar. The setbacks are similar. So, I mean, they were all built what year was your house built? You know?
74.
So, okay, I was gonna say 70s, maybe early 80s, whatever. Okay. So he was faced with either not doing his addition or applying for a variance to hopefully secure the improvement he needs to get his building permit or zoning permit.
Okay, do board members have any questions for Mr. Ziegler?
I'm making clarification, as I understand, Mr. Ziegler's initial report to us. This is to build a second story.
In addition off the rear.
And the addition of the rear does what to the existing setback?
Keep it exactly the same way it is. We're gonna keep it as 21.1 feet. So nothing gets closer to the neighbor.
So to the extent that there's HPA issues or requirements, this work isn't gonna change any footprint, as I understand it.
The addition to the rear.
The rear width,
Will,
yeah, make my footprint much larger.
okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there anyone from the public who? Yes, sir, please report. And state your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Terry Secker, and I had the honor of actually sitting with you about 30 years ago on the zoning board.
Right there.
I just, let's have him join.
Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you will give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. If you state your name, please.
Terry M. Stecker. And send it in, Mike. Can you spell the last name? Yes, you can see her, it's in Vango. And the Nickel, it's in Charlie. K is in Kilo, E is in Echo, R is in. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
All right, no problem. I've lived in the township for 77 years. I grew up here, except for 2 years in the United States, now in the other 3 times in the Vietnam War. And it's a wonderful place to live. We built our home back in 1980, which is adjacent to Big Point. Actually, I came before this, or not this, before the time, and we asked for a relief on the setback. So that we could put a garage underneath the property, and the board did approve it. Clint and I talked about this land. It's, he's not going outside of the envelope, the building envelope, except for the back. That's about the extent of it. He's not moving any further and approaching on our property whatsoever. Actually, they took a property which was desperately needed repair, and actually got it placed, repainted the outside, done the necessary things to upgrade, put shrubbery in and whatnot. And honestly, I can say he is a very good neighbor. We would hate to lose him, quite frankly. That was a 7-lot subdivision by Bob Hill, or the Hill family, and that's kind of a hate feel with my son. But I would ask the board to approve this. We have no objections. My wife and I have no objections to this. They're good neighbors. We hate to lose them. And the other thing is, if we have to go look for another property, you know what the real estate market is. So we like to keep them. We don't have any problems with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask just a separate question?
Sure.
Good to see you, Barry.
Good to see you, Mike.
Been a long time.
Again.
Again, it doesn't give the property owner's name on the plan, the adjacent property owners. Are you the one on the side where the addition is being built?
South side.
You're on the south side, okay, so you
Yes.
are the most impacted by
Yes.
what Mr. Ziegler's doing, okay, so I just wanna make sure you weren't on the other side. with
No, I'm
the-
not on the north side.
Okay, then-
and there is no.
So Mr. Spector's directly next door neighbor.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We
Okay,
talked on
thank you.
another on occasions with kids too. Okay, thank you very
thank
much.
Okay, so I guess if there's no other questions, then there'd be a motion to grant the relief, and what is the relief?
What is the relief? The relief we would be granting, which, well, I don't know if you want to grant the relief in a separate motion or roll it on to one motion. Would be a C variance for the violation of the side yard setback in the HPA zone to make it consistent with what the prior side yard setback was when it was in the R1 zone, and consistent with the existing setback of the existing home at 21.1 feet. That is.
James, you have that?
C variance for side yard setback in the HPA zone to make it consistent with the existing setback of 21.1.
Yes, yes.
Subject to whatever the board standard conditions.
Was there anything else, Mike? Or-
Well, again, we only did a completeness review. We didn't do a technical review, not really necessary in something like this. I mean, there should be the standard condition of payment of any escrows, keeping his escrow account obviously balanced positive. I don't think there's any issue with that at all. But now,
Condition, even if that.
standard payment of taxes, exactly. There's no pre-construction meeting in this case. Are you prepared, Clint, to file your building permit applications? You kind of waiting for this?
We've been waiting.
So you have a contractor lined up, so
Yeah, we started this in February.
you're the,
Because once it's granted, we typically a year that you have until you have.
Not clear on started running.
Okay. Okay, so, I need a motion to grant the relief that is stated. Gary,
Yes, I will motion that.
Aaron, second. Speak up, please, somebody. Mark. With the three hands go up and thumbs up. Okay, roll call vote,
Mr. Williams,
yes.
Mr. Scuderi,
Yes.
Mr. Beam,
Yes.
Mr. Chacella,
Yes.
Ms. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Blunt,
Yes.
Ms. Shola,
Yes.
and Mr. Bradlaugh,
Yes.
and Mr. Graham.
Okay, good luck.
Back.
Okay, our next,
Right, get out.
order of business is, land board application 2023/06, Sentinel self-storage. Who do we have representing that?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is David Brady. I'm a lawyer with the firm Brady and Corial in Marchtown, and I'm representing Sentinel Self Storage tonight. Haven't been here before. We do have some witnesses and some boards. Should I just stand here, set up over near the podium, or how we?
Whatever you're comfortable with, that microphone doesn't do anything, it's all the stuff.
I can talk loud. So, I might just go there so I have some for considering. As I said, I'm representing Sentinel Self Storage LLC. Sentinel owns, the self-storage facility that is at 717, I think it is, Route 57. It's lot 3, lot 13. It's about 9 3/4 acres. It's in the B1 zone. The B1 zone does not allow self-service storage facilities. So self-service storage facility that's there now is there as a result of variances that were granted 20, or maybe a little more than 20 years ago. Those approvals were actually a little more ambitious than what's there now, but some of the buildings were never built. Currently, it's got about 50,000 square feet of self-service storage units and in 4 buildings. And an office in a building of about 500 square feet with some parking and of course, access ways. In the left rear of the property behind the buildings, there's a gravelled area that is used for outside storage, things like boats, RVs, things of that nature. The proposal tonight is to remove that outside storage. And we'll stipulate that it's not going to go back, on that spot. But the buildings on that spot, about 2 of them, about 24,000 square feet total. And then we're going to take the office that is essentially a trailer and put up an actual office building. It's a D1 variance to expand the non-conforming use, so the committee and the committee people can't sit on it.
Right, so it's a good point, Paul. I'm sorry.
He has to stay though to work on the air conditioning.
It's already been fixed.
I've got,
John,
3 witnesses.
That's not true.
Three witnesses, Ian Hill, who was our professional engineer, Bill Hamilton, who was the project manager for Sentinel, and Jessica Caldwell, who was our professional planner.
You want to have them come forward and we'll swear.
Sure.
And wear them and the board professionals. Yeah.
Three of you, Kendra, Michael. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I guess.
Okay.
I do.
You state your name and spell the last name.
Ian Hill, HILL.
Okay.
Jessica Caldwell, CALDWELL.
William Hamilton. HAMILTON.
And I'm sorry, what capacity are each of you here on?
Mr. Hill is the professional engineer, Ms. Caldwell is the professional planner, Mr. Hamilton is the project manager for Sentinel.
Mr. Finelli, the board engineer. Slowly, the board.
Okay, I wanted to let the board know too that we have communicated with at least one of the neighbors that was behind us. That called my office to indicate that there were some concerns. As we got through this, I think we've got some plans to address those concerns, so hopefully we can take care of that, but of course. Neighbors can come up afterwards and make them,
We'll follow on people, comments from the public.
okay. So I'm gonna start then with Mr. Hill once he gets set up.
Do we need to qualify them?
Yeah, we do have to call. Okay, Mr. Hill, would you, explain to the board your educational background and your professional background?
Yes, I have a degree in civil engineering, bachelor's degree from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, 2001. I've been a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey since 2005. My license is current, it's always been in good standing. I am the land use board engineer for Holland Township, as well as the zoning board engineer for West Windsor Township. I have testified before this board before approximately 15 years ago. And mostly places in Huntington County, but quite a few in Warren County as well. Franklin Township, for instance.
Board accepts your credentials.
Okay, thank you. So, trying to kind of set this up, I think, why don't we start first, if you can, with.
I don't know if it'll make it easy, but there is an easy over there.
Yeah, there is, there's really no mechanism to enforce this. Right now.
I think Ian, you have to, yeah, you see, if you see that the lower half of the leg.
Yeah,
The board can sit right on the lower half of the leg, and that's the way it works.
Being a little too efficient with the
Yeah.
material.
Well, it's the way we can qualify our witnesses. They can figure it out.
Okay, Mr. Hill, if you could, explain to the board,
There you go.
what the existing conditions are, and you've got here on the easel. A sheet that's called boundary and topographic survey with a revision date of 5/29/24. Is that already been submitted to the board?
This was part of the submission package before, yes.
Is it changed in any way, or is it exactly the same?
It is exactly the same as what happened to the
Since it's the same, I don't know if, what's board's practice
Uh,
in the market.
We don't have to market.
Okay. So if you would explain to the board then, what is there now, talk a little bit about the properties around it and what improvements are on the property.
The property. It fronts on State Highway Route 57 on the north side, which is westbound. Right at in the front, along the frontage is a relatively large detention basin. It's a outlet structure that discharges the stormwater from the site ultimately to the DOT's infrastructure within Route 57. As you mentioned before, there's a driveway access. It goes up to basically a single wide trailer that's being utilized as office space. And about I believe 7 parking spaces. And it's situated within a large curved grass area. It was curved ultimately under the original approval to build a larger office building and quite a bit more parking than is there now. But that proposal has expired, it's no longer being sought. And then there's a gated access with a keypad to enter the self-storage area. And originally there were 9 buildings that were approved, but only 4 of them were constructed. And under this application, we're proposing to construct an additional 2 for a total of 6 out of the original 9. And as the attorney mentioned, these 2 parking spaces are going to be taken up. An area that's being used for outdoor storage of RVs and boats and landscaping trailers, etc. And that use will not be continued going forward.
Anything else that you wanted to explain with
Yeah,
regard?
the trailers have, or the storage areas have no sewer service, they have no water connections, they have no electricity. Other than to provide power to the lights. There are some building mounted lights on each building. There are HVAC units for a few, conditioned, storage areas within each building. But the units themselves don't have electricity inside them, no lighting.
One-story building,
They're all one-story buildings, 10 feet high,
and
and also, the stormwater infrastructure for the entire originally approved project has been constructed. There are basins, stormwater catch basins all the way back here, along this side, within this existing grass area, within the driveway, and everything connects into the detention basin at the front of the property. So we will not need to install any additional storm sewer infrastructure.
the area in the back where the outdoor storage is, paved, gravel, what is it?
It is compacted BGA, I would describe it as. It's not paved, but it's not, loose stone that's, permeable to rainwater. It's pretty well compacted.
Anything else about the existing conditions you want to tell the board about?
There are, the existing lighting on the site, has a mounting height of approximately 16 feet. Mr. Textor and I were out there this afternoon and measured it. 16 feet from pavement to the face of the down fixture. The existing fixtures have been retrofitted with LED lighting, but it's more of an LED bulb than those like LED point lights that are proposed in the site plan drawings for this project. So they will be slightly different in that aspect.
Ian, excuse me, are you saying you're changing the lighting that's on the plans?
No, it's
Yeah.
already been changed. They retrofitted them. They used to be high pressure sodium or metal halide or whatever was
Right.
in vogue 20 years ago.
Precisely.
But they're just screw-in bulbs that are LEDs. So kind of like the thing. you
Okay,
put in
so
your bathroom.
they've already modified the existing lights to LEDs and you're just, your proposed lighting will
The
continue
proposed
with the
lighting
LEDs, okay,
going to be slightly different, but
okay.
similar. It's in the appearance. And there's an existing septic system that was constructed as part of the original, which is of sufficient size to support the proposed office building. And we would not need to construct a new septic system for the septic. It's the existing one.
Okay.
Flip this over and, talk about what that proposal is. This plan does have colorization, so I guess we have to mark it as A1.
Alright.
And, well, overall site plan, technical stuff, for LLC to provide in.
So that would be the colorized version of,
T3 of 9, the overall site plan. With a revision date of May 29th, 2024.
Would then explain to the board what the proposal is. In other words, somebody start in the front and work to the back.
Right. Okay. This is where the existing trailer is. So just to the south of the existing office trailer, proposing to construct a one-story, 3,100 square feet building. Out of that 3,100 square feet, slightly less than 500 of it will be office space. There will also be some conditions, storage areas within this building as well. And also a small parking area to be constructed to the south of that, i.e. between the building and Route 57. And that was designed for 9 parking spaces, I believe.
What happens to the area that's there now where there are parking spaces?
The parking spaces and the trailer will be removed. The pavement will be removed and scarified and returned to a vegetated state. And in the rear, this shows a better idea of it's basically filling out. There were to be 3 rows of 3 buildings, obviously the 3rd building's gone away, but we now have 2 rows of 3 buildings. buildings are 9,600 and 14,400. For a total of 24,000 square feet.
Have follow those buildings.
Those buildings are 10 feet, as well, you can match the other ones. They will have new building mounted lights along them, emergency lights, basically security lights. And will basically resemble the other buildings on site.
And I think you indicated that the stormwater system is already in place, so
It is, the collection system is in place. The management system is somewhat outdated in that it was constructed back, it was approved originally in 2003, which predates even the 2004 stormwater rules. The basin is pretty large, I mean, it was designed to basically volume manage the 100-year storm, which was the practice back then.
Well, and it was also designed for the big office building that was
Right.
approved, which never
And
got built.
3 more buildings back
Right.
here and.
Yep.
So it's oversized. We are gonna need to do some things to make our management of this development comply with the standards that are in place today. The current township stormwater control.
can I summarize it as you've got plenty of quantity, but you have to deal with quality.
There's plenty of volume, but under the green infrastructure changes back in 2021, you were no longer allowed to use an extended detention basin for quantity control, for anything, really. So we'll have to modify this probably to put in a small bioretention system with under drain near the outlet structure, just to handle the increased flow from the new buildings, which shouldn't be much because they're already in a spot that was primarily compacted gravel anyway. But we're confident that we can meet the current regulations.
Would doing that require changes to that basin in the sense of regrading,
Probably
stripping
not.
topsoil like that, or we just essentially going in the bottom of the basin and doing
We
something?
would probably do some excavation in the area of the outlet structure. That would be sufficient.
What about the circulation around the site? What's the plan for that? Can you explain that before?
It's gonna basically remain the same as it is. It's, two-way traffic down each aisle.
Where the new buildings are being put, or is that gonna be paved around the building?
It is.
What about lighting, if you could explain out the additional building?
Well, the additional buildings in the rear, we're not proposing any site lighting, post pole mounted lighting, because there isn't any back there now. And these units are, designed to be accessed in the daytime. There's no lights inside the units. The facility is open till 9 o'clock, but other than summer months, I don't think that you could really do too much there. Like say in the winter when it gets dark at 4:30, 5 o'clock, you're probably not gonna be there much after that. So.
One of the requirements, I think it was Finelli's letter, that it would be buffering. And frankly, I looked through these 20-year-old resolutions and they required buffering. We were not the applicant at the time, but it was never put. What it was less than adequate. In fact, we've had conversations between the neighbors. What is the plan with regard to buffering and what do you propose? We don't have a plan right
Are we
now.
talking about buffering with the adjacent residential properties in Lebac Township?
Yep.
I believe the intent is to agree to do what was required in the original resolution in context with the intent of the ordinance. For instance, they were proposing white pines back then, which are probably not the most favored tree at the time, at this point. And so it would probably be a different type of evergreen, but
So is that something, we have not submitted a plan tonight for that, okay, we have a proposal to work with.
we can work
board
with
professionals.
the board planner. Okay, yeah, certainly.
And right now, having been out there with one of the neighbors, there's fair amount of visual screening. Is the idea that you'll go out once the leaves fall and then figure out where to place things?
I wasn't at the meeting with the,
Right, but somebody else in your office.
yes, so I can't.
Okay, but is the intent to go out once the leaves fall?
Secondhand, I've heard that, yes.
Okay.
Would this be a good time to, you have questions on?
I have a couple for Ian, before we get
We'll
too far off.
get Ian and then
Sorry.
Kendra, so.
Well, Kendra, you wanna go first? If you have anything?
The only thing I had was with regards to the buffering. So as long as the applicant is agreeing to work with our office, I think typically it makes more sense that once the buildings are constructed, we can go out there and do a site visit and plug any holes, and be able to put in those trees. And I agree, white pine probably are not the best trees to be doing that. However, it probably makes sense to at least put on the plan Norway spruce, red cedar, and then with a note to say that supplemental plantings based upon a site visit would be provided, so that you get an approved plan. We have it in writing, and then if we need to move trees around or add a couple, we can do that.
Agreed. You guys are okay with that?
Yeah, it's,
Mike?
Kendra's, all right, Kendra, you good? That's it? You're good?
Yeah, and just a question on the front buffer. Technically, a front landscape treatment is required. I know that this is sitting further back, obviously, from the road.
We're really squeezed by DOT site easements and the top of the berm. There's certainly not 35 feet there. Usable space. I mean, we are proposing street trees along the stretch. But as far as, a physical shrub buffer. We can work with you to see what we can do, but we're definitely gonna need relief from. that.
From the width. Yeah, okay, so that you need relief from the width. I guess the one thing I would recommend is, because the parking now will be in front of the building, maybe there's something that we can do to screen the parking spaces. I know, again, we're further back, but this might be a situation where, Inkberry holly or something along those lines would make sense along the new parking area. And I guess I just had a question about your refuse disposal. Did you discuss that at all?
I haven't, the fact that it's 4x6. That kind of caught me off guard, and I inquired, and all that's in there are 2 garbage cans.
Okay,
The trash and one for recycling, I believe.
so folks won't be using an outdoor trash
The last
can.
thing, the last thing an owner of a self-storage place wants is a dumpster for people to throw their junk into.
I get it. And no additional signage.
Signage, no signage, no thanks.
So you currently have a sign, but you're not
Yes.
proposing to
Not
change.
changing.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, to me. Ian, you said earlier in your testimony about the new office building with the conditioned space and so forth, fine. The new parking lot basically being constructed between the office building and the detention basin, pretty much.
Correct.
And then the existing parking area, which is behind the proposed office building. You indicated it would be regraded, modified, whatnot, and made into grass. And now is that on the plan? I don't see that on the plan. And that's, I love, the idea is perfect.
You know what, it says removal in the demolition plan, I think, but those layers should have been turned off on the site plan and weren't.
Okay, so just a question of putting a note on the site plan sheet, that the parking area and so forth, obviously, needs to be, and the trailer will be removed and so forth, so, okay.
So that's on this 3 of 9.
Yeah.
We're gonna,
There'll be, they have other, which I'm sure we're gonna get into to some degree. There's, other technical comments that we have from our report, which goes back to July the 8th. Is my report's, of record anyway is July 8th. Kendra's report is July 3rd. I think we were hoping for a rehearing in July, that didn't happen in August, so now it's September.
I'm going to have Mr. Hill address your reports and indicate, I think almost everything will comply with. If there's a couple issues, he's going to do that, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Yeah, the one concern I had was I figured we should probably get in the record is on the fact that this is in a park limestone
The
area.
geology, yes, good place to start, perfect.
So does that, do we get an exemption from doing groundwater recharge?
Well, no, I'm, okay. You went to stormwater management, I'm going with ordinance compliance, okay. We have a parks ordinance which we've had for years, decades. It requires a phase 1 geologic report and sometimes a phase 2 geologic study, which is more invasive and takes a lot more time and effort. They made sent in a report saying that they didn't need to do a phase 2 because of the work that's been done at the site, the lack of any subsistence out at the site. And therefore a phase 2 study would not be appropriate on this lot, especially with the level of disturbance that's out there already. And I agree. So I think I would support the relief from doing a phase 2 geologic study for this site. I don't see any benefit whatsoever. So that's A. Then we can go now to stormwater if you like.
Okay, so given that conclusion, I guess we're okay to do a small infiltration component.
Yeah, I think you'll, when you excavate.
Well, I
you'll
want to
see-
do soil testing between the.
Yes.
soil.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, oh, the area in the back, the closest to Lopac homes, which is just, I'll call it an overgrown vegetated area. There's nothing there. Is it going to just remain as a vegetative buffer?
Yes, and
Uh,
plus adding what we just
And
talked.
plus, well, adding the new stuff, but
Right.
because that's a pretty good chunk of land back there. And it's pretty densely vegetated, relatively speaking.
So I mean,
So,
I don't think the applicant wants to, preclude him from coming back for a future. site.
no, that's not, you're right, I'm not saying, but.
Part of the project.
Yeah, because it would, it clearly helps buffer those buildings, especially the ones to the north, better, so, okay, fine. That was it, I was just,
Other than that, Mr. Hill, anything in Mr. Finelli's reports that you have an issue with, or are we basically agreeing to implement the various details and stuff?
Well, one thing is that we are going to need to put, EV parking in here. I believe I didn't see the comment, but I did notice that it wasn't on the plan, so.
yeah, no, you're gonna need a space, right? So, well, in your first round of plan revisions, when you add that note about the other parking area being removed and so forth, you can add it there, that'd be fine.
Okay, also, under off-street parking and loading. Parking space size is typically handled with a design waiver, but our spaces are 9x18 and not 10x20. And we don't, these aren't high turnover spaces, so we would request, I guess, the variance. For not providing 10x20 parking spaces.
I'll give the board my 2 cents on that. I personally absolutely do not ever encourage or recommend relief down to 9x18. A 9-foot space is a narrow space, and if there's turnover, this is next to the building that has obviously storage units, so there's gonna be traffic flow in and out. I could live with 9.5 by 18 or 9.5 by 19. But you know, I mean, and sometimes the hairpin striping can help too. But a 9 foot space is a narrow
I
space.
mean, if the door is no physical constraint there, that would stop us
why-
from making them 10 by 20, you know, we can. Then
Okay, oh,
We'll make
fine.
it 10 by 20.
Yeah,
Well, then
perfect.
you don't need relief.
Then you're good.
Although, did I understand they do need relief for the number of parking spaces?
No, actually,
No,
they only need 8.
because
actually.
all of this, building, there's only one employee here, so. That's like 1.5 parking spaces, and then there's only like 500 square feet of office space, which is another. Like 3 spaces, so it's 2.5 rounded up to 5 is all. Technically.
So that, maybe within Kendra's report, I saw something about 18 spaces or something.
The zoning schedule on the plans indicates 16 spaces.
Yeah, that was incorrect.
Yeah, no, that isn't.
I think originally they had thought that the entire 3,100 square foot building was gonna all be office. When that's not the case at all, we're less than 500.
That was in the beginning of this, because I remember communicating maybe with Mr. Drill or somebody about what is this office? And there was an understanding or a misunderstanding that it was, the whole thing was an office. It's not. So I think he's right on that.
Okay, so you're good with the,
Yeah, I was looking at it from, I mean, the 16 is just wrong.
Yeah.
So, I was looking
and
at,
I think that was because of the office, there were a certain number of spaces needed for the office, and that's what amped up the number.
yes, that's exactly what happened. So,
Then under number 2, chapter 16-10.3, off-street loading and unloading space. There isn't a specific loading area, just because the way this, the facility operates, every single unit is its own loading area. Like you pull your truck out there, the unloading stuff, from the unit right away. This is a curving, the curving along the office building, there's a roll-up door along the office, the interior of the office building on the east side along the driveway. The press curve is just gonna be along the driveway, it won't extend in to, return to the building. So we won't violate the 5-foot curving.
okay, that'll be fine. The other thing, Ian, which we noted in our report. The entrances to the building, there's a number of doors. Obviously, on the architecturals, don't match what's on the site plan, so that's, you gotta just coordinate with the architect and whatnot. Confirm that, because obviously you're gonna need, ingress, egress capabilities, you might have to actually put a sidewalk around the building. Okay.
Don't really have any other issues with the comments, you can comply with them. Is there anything specific that you'd like to bring up with regarding lighting or?
No,
The discrepancy between the mounting height and it's gonna be 16 foot high. As I mentioned, that's basically what the existing. pictures are.
yeah, I think that was the issue was there was an inconsistency.
Yes, yep.
So 16 feet is fine. Because that's what they are, that's what the existing ones are now, as you said, right? Yep.
And yes, the lighting will be turned off when it's still closed, except for security lighting.
The office building will be manned by an employee, like on an average workday. I mean, there's a.
9 to 6:30, I believe, is what's posted.
We have Mr. Hamilton here, so we can.
Yeah,
have
he'll go through the
that
fine.
operation. It's already existing and operating, so I don't know that we need to go into a lot of details, but we have them, so if the board has questions.
Right. And yes, we agree to, comply with all the comments under miscellaneous 10, 11. We agree to that.
You have anything else, Mike, or?
No, there's, I mean, the report has a lot of comments in it, some of which are just statements, not, comments of, the necessitated change. Oh, some, there are other changes that we're asking for, they've.
But I'll give you a
Accommodated.
chance, why don't I throw it open to the board members and see if they have any questions, and if you think of anything else, then. Okay, so Florida, yeah, Kathy.
I have a question. Is this lot flat? The whole lot?
It is relatively flat, but it slopes from rear to front,
So,
slightly.
so it's flat where the outdoor parking is right now in the back, right? Where the
This area,
RV parking or whatever it is. That's flat, right?
well. It has a flat in relative terms, 6 inches.
Okay.
It goes up 5 feet in about.
So, and the vegetative area has the same slope, so it's, or is that flat?
This vegetated area back
Yeah.
here is actually probably a little steeper than this area is. It slopes from here up to this corner here. From say 427 here to 442, about 15 feet from here to there.
And there's no like berm or anything to where the houses are? It's just this. like-
There's a lot of vegetation in here. But I mean, this keeps going up and up and up and up. I mean, the adjacent house is.
Looking
way
down
up in
on the
air.
facility?
Right.
Oh.
But we weren't there to be looking down on the asphalt plant, so.
No, great. And the outdoor RV parking or whatever, that totally goes away, there's no more vehicles parking there. All right, thanks.
Anyone else?
You were talking about, the front stormwater management retention area. What exactly needs to be done with that to accommodate for the additional, is it gonna be a bigger area, bigger footprint?
No, it'll be the same footprint. Basically, what we'll do is. Where the existing. Or the lowest orifice into here is. That'll probably be the elevation of our under drain to our bioretention system. And then we'll put the 2 feet of, the soil material on top of that to filter the water before it goes out. And it drains to Route 57.
Okay, and I didn't see anything in the report, or maybe it might be a recommendation by our planner, but screenage of that in the front. Is there any plans for that?
There's really not any,
I know there's a small area of the large rock that helps with,
that's right up against the property line.
yeah,
And then the driveway has DOT site triangles that take up. From this property line to like the midpoint of the property. So, and then you got this, I mean, there's. Maybe 60 feet here and 20 feet here that are. Available for putting low level plantings.
I just, that was my recommendation would be something low, because you can't have anything too big there because of the limited space between that and the road, but I just thought shrubbery, something to kind of.
Of the basin provides quite a bit of screening without any landscaping on top of it. I mean,
I wouldn't agree with that. You drive by there and you could see right into that.
Well. Yeah. You can see the tops of these buildings, I don't know, and. You know, I was out there today, the trailer, maybe, yeah.
So,
But
but
we're proposing to put in some street trees and we will work with vendors to.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say,
You know, a couple extra feet of shrubs that are below the site line might help a lot.
It will work.
You've agreed to work
Professionals both in the
with our
back
planner
and in the
to
front.
come up with a suitable. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have one more question. What was the concern that the neighbors had? Didn't you say there was a concern? From the neighbors? And I asked
we
that?
met with the Turners live.
Here.
Lots of thick, lot 93.02 in the back.
And I got a call from Mr. Turner. I met with Mr. and Mrs. Turner and with someone from Ian's office. There was a concern over screening. And frankly, we talked a little bit about maybe putting the screening on their property, kind of on the theory is if it's closer to you and more in your face, it's a little more effective. But then as we started talking about that, it's not just the Turners, there's other people back kind of towards the rear. The requirement is that we do it on our property. The rear of our property is all vegetated anyway, so we kind of decided, you know what, rather than getting into, one neighbor wants, arborvitae, one neighbor wants white pines, all that sort of stuff. Let's just do it on the Sentinel property. It was required by the 2002 and 2004 resolution. It's required by your current ordinances. Let's just do it there. So that's the proposal. There's also a concern about whether the outdoor storage is going away. And it is. Because that's where we're gonna put the two buildings. And lastly, there was a concern over, I guess I'll call it noise. People who come and I guess open the overhead door, turn the radio on in the pickup truck, pull some stuff out, etc. I brought Mr. Hamilton to talk to him about that. The lease and regulations there do have some restrictions on that, and he'll tell you, now that we know it's a concern, we'll make sure we enforce it. So we think we're addressing.
And do all the units have the like garage doors, or are they regular doors?
There are a couple with man doors, I think, but most of them are overhead.
Thanks.
Gary?
Follow up on the statement you just made about the parking areas going away. I just want to be clear that,
Outdoor storage area.
I'm sorry?
Outdoor storage area.
Yeah, there will not be any outdoor storage area at all, or is it just being relocated on the property?
We're not relocating it. We're using that area for these buildings, and we're gonna push everybody off the site.
Okay, that was the main thing. I just, when you're saying going away, I wanted to make sure it wasn't, okay, we're putting the buildings here, we're moving them away,
We would need to
pushing them
have-
out further.
We would
So.
need to get approval for that. and
Yep.
if Sentinel-
Well, exactly. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a queue of words, so.
Sentinel were to-
Yeah, no, that's-
Sentinel were to decide later it wanted to go back to that, they'd have to come. in
Yeah,
and get
exactly.
approval.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions from the board? So is there anyone here from the public? Oh, wait.
One more question.
Yeah.
What year were the existing buildings, when were they put there?
Who were they constructed like 2004? When construction started?
Yeah, mid-2000s.
There's one above the two red ones you got there. That's not on satellite imagery that I think is pretty recent. When was that in there?
2017, 2018.
They come before the
Did
board?
they come
No,
before us
why
at
don't
that
we
point?
I don't
It
think-
was already for.
It was already,
It was,
so,
yeah.
so they.
I built that.
Okay.
With your approval.
Right, that's the one.
Mike,
That's
Mike,
not
can
here.
you
It
please talk about what was originally approved?
says
Yeah.
copyright 20.
Yeah, that's
Got it, listen, right.
Yeah, okay, Joe's question, I guess, about that, the building that's existing, that's furthest to the east, 40 by 240 storage building. He said it's not coming up on an aerial. That was part of the original, there was a series of approvals where they're outlined in our report, that go back to 2000 to 2003, 2004. That, so they've had the rights to obviously do this. Now, this changes
Yeah.
this now takes that old office building, the old big office building off the books.
Well, they don't even know about that.
It takes the other, well, maybe they don't. It takes all the storage units that were approved in the back, which are now, we're saying that area is gonna just remain untouched. They're gone. So this is actually a reduction to the overall coverage of the site. Like by it is quite a significant amount.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Actually, I was on the board and Mike was there then, so there were originally what, nine buildings, 9 storage buildings approved.
Hmm.
And in a separate application, there was a 2-story office building that went all the way across the front of the property, basically.
Yep.
That was approved. So those go off and this replaces that, just so you understand what.
All right.
Now that new office is-
And back then, unlike what John Drill does now, we didn't grandfather things that you had to do it within a certain period of time.
Yeah, what's there now, or proposed is less than 2/3 of what was originally approved.
And that new office building's gonna look like a house.
It looks, it's a, yeah, you should show the architectural, actually, it's a nice looking building,
Not
You have the architecture.
plans, right?
yeah.
So I just,
What I saw.
so I just
Had a
want to
little-
double.
There it is.
little, yeah.
If there's no other question, are there any other questions from the board members on this? Because is there anyone from the public who, now, let me make it clear, this would be questions specifically about this witness's testimony, not your opinions or whatever, because we'll give you the time for that in the end. But if you have any questions for this witness, then please go ahead. Do you?
I do.
Okay, then please come forward and identify yourself.
My name is Sherry Woody. My property is adjacent to this one. It's the 18-acre parcel. Block 3, lot 1201.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
we need to swear her in.
If she's just questioning you.
Are you questioning? Just
Yeah.
questioning, okay, fine.
Could I, just so I'm sure, I'm clear where your property is,
yeah,
I see, is this the J Carrillo?
yes.
Okay.
We purchased in January from him, my husband.
Oh, so you bought that lot from,
We
because
bought
Jake's,
that.
the Carrillo name is on the plan, that's why, and I knew he had owned property around there, so,
Yes.
okay, so that now it is yours, that's the lot we're talking about. Okay, okay, thank you.
Would you, can you spell your last name?
Woody.
Okay. Ask away.
Okay, so. our- I have a few questions, but are intending to keep it as farmland assessed. So, you know, farming, ranching, we haven't quite decided we're in the midst of trying to get a house plan together to present to everyone. With the increase in impervious surface, it seems rather substantial. My concern is water management, so can you explain to me how that's being addressed, and if I'm going to have an issue with that, because
Yeah,
the large size,
you're up here.
Yeah.
Uphill from this thing.
the elevation is what compared to that?
You are higher than this is, correct?
I don't know, I'm asking you.
You are, this area is higher than this area. But our site drains from this corner down to this corner, and drains out to Route 57. It doesn't run off this way.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay. 'Cause when I've driven past there, there's
No,
a
there-
decline along this whole area. And where I turn right. So that's not, I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, and we have pickup places for stormwater here. Everything is sloped and stuff. So you shouldn't have any, and everything's curved, so I don't envision any type of problem with water runoff from here coming this way.
I agree. You should stormwater. I could see you as the neighbor having some other concerns, questions. That's perfectly acceptable, not stormwater though, because. Ian's right, that the natural grade right now goes from, let's say, west to east. As he just indicated, so you should be unimpacted completely.
Good, thank you.
You're
Other
welcome.
questions?
Yes, what are the noise ordinances with the town and the lighting? You said it's 16 feet, what are the hours of operation for that?
They close at 9 o'clock.
Do the lights go off completely at night?
The security lights stay on
And where are those located?
the buildings.
Oh, they're on the building, they're not up in the 16.
Only the ones up front by the street are up in the air.
Okay. Okay, and noise ordinances,
We have a manager on site 6 days a week. Who monitors the site constantly. Watches
So,
people come in
absolutely.
and out, and if they start making a ruffle or doing something wrong, they're right on top of it.
what are the hours of operation?
So they close at 9, 6 AM to 9 PM. There's a manager on site from 9:30 to 6 PM.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you're, oh,
I have a question.
we have some more people for the public. Can you step forward and identify yourself? And again, this is questions for this particular student.
My name is Hannah Turner. I'm located at 14 Spring Run Lane. I believe, I'm not really sure. I need to see this. Yeah. Yeah, we're right here. I need to see this way. So I have a couple of questions, one being in regards to the lighting, the pointing of the lighting. You're saying that the security lighting is 16 feet at the road, not outside of structures?
Correct. Right. Inside the structure.
Okay, so
Well,
that'll be
structures
dark.
are mounted on the building themselves, so they're maybe 6 feet off the ground.
But back here, pointing towards these neighborhoods, where the lighting is shining at the night.
Have you seen it lately?
Not exactly sure.
My question is, that building's been there for a few years. Have you seen the lighting from your house?
I believe we can see it.
What's the topic?
Well, the lighting from the asphalt plant bothers us more because of the height and because of the angle. So my point would have been to angle it in a way that would not point into the neighborhood, but rather
That's what I.
into the facility.
Point down.
That would be, okay, got it. And then the other question I had for you regarding the buffer that you're proposing. I'm not really sure where you're proposing to put it. Because right on the other side of the property line is a very high, about a 9-foot, maybe higher, foot fence with barbed wire like a prison. And then from my understanding, that immediately moves to that ground, that hard ground where you are going to be driving around buildings. So where exactly where the trees go on that? Buffer?
I believe the fence you're talking about is back here. This was where the Darby, the Upper Park and the buildings are going. This is gonna stay all vegetated back here.
So the razor wire is here.
It's all around,
It's all
it's not razor wire, it's barbed wire,
barbed wire.
but yes, it's all around, it's around the entire perimeter. But the landscape buffer would probably go in the side yard setback and the rear yard setback, I would imagine. It's right up against the fence on our side.
On your side.
Yes.
Okay. So the fence is going to be on my side.
Yes. Well,
Which is a problem. Cause it's quite
Is
unsightly.
is the fence changing in any way as a result of this?
that wasn't part of the proposal, no.
That would be, sorry. I can say that this was part of the question, so those are my questions.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Anyone else from the public? No, okay.
Mr. Hamilton. You have a question?
Yes, I have one more question. It's open 7 days a week?
6.
Oh, it's only open 6. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hamilton, I don't know, there's been some questions about operations, although as I said, it's already there. You've talked about the hours, you've talked about that you have someone on site. Do you have a lease that prohibits people from hanging out in these units and
Yes.
doing things?
If the units are being used as temporary living spaces, which sometimes people try to do, they're immediately evicted.
Okay.
Anybody who tries to work on a vehicle is told not to. If they continue to do it, they're evicted.
Can people have garage sales or repair goods on the property?
No, they cannot repair their cars or goods or anything there. They can rearrange their units. That's about it.
And is it just kind of hanging out and loitering prohibited?
Correct. This rate, have we moved to a new witness testify?
Excuse me?
Have we moved to a new witness?
Yes, we did. We swore everybody in, so.
I'm not sure we confirmed that we were done with
Okay.
public questions of Mr. Hill.
So if there's no more questions, then let's go on to the next witness.
And Mr. Hamilton, for the record, what's your position with Sentinel?
I am the construction manager, superintendent for all new construction for Sentinel and Eastern State Police.
Are you familiar with how Sentinel operates and manages its facilities?
I am.
And
I take care of all the security. All the stuff. So they could probably new construction buildings and. Epics.
you familiar with how this particular site operates on a day-to-day basis?
Yes.
Do you have specific testimony to give or?
No, I brought Mr. Hamilton because while it's there, people may have questions and I wanted him available because I don't know.
Let's start off with our board professionals. Kendra, do you have any questions? No, Mike?
Was this, Mr. Hamilton, did you, and I don't even know if there's anything that would need to be addressed by you, actually, but did you, have the opportunity to read, Kendra's report or my report relative to the facility? And, there are provisions relative to security lighting and the turning off of the lights at a certain time and so forth. Did you see this?
Yeah, I read your report, all three of them.
Okay.
And,
Well, the last
you
one, the
keep
one
bringing
dated
up the
July
security
8th
lights
is the
going
most
off at
important.
night. Lights never go off at night.
But those are only the security lights, not the.
Right, the building lights are security lights.
Right.
The
But
site
the,
lights go-
the 16-foot mounted lights go off.
They're off on a timer, yeah.
You're right, that's what needs to go off. The security lighting around the building is fine.
On the entire site, Mr. Hamilton, or only around?
Only around the front area and the parking, by the tank basin. By the retention pond.
Are there
Those
any,
lights go out.
Is there a reason why those are left on?
Those go off. The other lights stay on for security, so the cameras can see in color.
No, I understand. So I understand the building lights stay on. Those are your security lights, but I think I heard you say that the lights up front that are higher lights stay on at night.
Only the one at the front entrance. The rest of them go off. I think there's 3 or 4.
And is there a particular reason why those with the taller lights stay on?
They don't need this. They don't need to stay on.
The chairman's asking, is there a reason why the light at the front entrance stays on?
For safety. More for safety at night to see the entrance.
if somebody wants to
And
go
they use
to,
fire.
somebody wants to get into their self-storage unit at 11 o'clock at night to get something. They can or can't get to their unit.
There are very few people that have 24-hour access to their units.
Okay,
The keypad stopped working at a certain time?
What's that?
The keypad stopped working at a certain time?
Yeah, the keypad's not working except for maybe 4 people that have 24-hour access to that site.
which they pay for, is that, okay, so you can get 24-hour access if
If
you want
you
to.
have a credible business or you have a vehicle in there or a trailer for construction, that you need to be able to go places and return it. But like I said, there's very few people who have 24 hours.
But the vehicles are going away, right? There's no storage of vehicles with that, when that block goes?
That's what I keep hearing.
Right, the outside the vehicle is going away. I assume you can store a car in one of these units, big enough.
But we frown on that.
Okay,
We frown heavily on storing vehicles.
so the outside storage of vehicles is going away.
As we build the buildings, they're going.
So is the number of people with 24-hour access going to expand when you expand the number of buildings?
It's only for those particular businesses that are there now.
Mr. Hamilton, when's the last time you did an inspection of the fence that surrounds the property? Not,
2018.
okay. Do you think it warrants, maybe a look-see by you or me or Kendra or all, to see? I haven't looked at that fence and I can't tell you how long it's been, well over 10 years.
Now, what I do is I do site audits, the site audit for that project's coming up. And when I do that, I'll look at the fence, I'll look at the vegetation growing over the fence and around the property so that there's nothing growing over the fences. That's normally how we do it and see if, make sure the poster is in working order, not bent.
fence is not cut. And that's usually what we do, but we like to keep that security fence up.
No, I'm not suggesting necessarily that it could be removed. I'm just saying it could be, there could be sections of that fence that could be in dire need of replacement or repair.
And I'll know that on this next audit coming in October.
Okay.
Any particular?
On the neighbor's comment about the fencing and the fact that she could see the barbed wiring, could there be a change in that barbed wiring that it could be, that it would blend in with the foliage better, like they change it to a green barbed wire so that they can't see regular barbed wire? Something to make it more aesthetically pleasing.
Sure.
But she says that she can see it now, so either the trees haven't grown enough or they've fallen over or, but some.
Difficulty is that the fence is there, we're not proposing any changes to it. It's approved, as Mike indicated a long time ago, and it's been there, if we keep it in good shape, we need it, obviously. We're gonna put buffers up, there is a conservation easement, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Actually along the outsides of the property, so if that's conservation easement is respected by the neighbors, then that you would think would go up and buffer the fence. So,
I saw it as probably a more economical way for you to appease the neighbors as opposed to actually putting in more foliage or whatnot. And the other thing, I believe she asked about the operating hours before, and you were saying Monday through Saturday, but actually access is 7 days a week. Just the office hours are Monday through Saturday.
correct. But only for a very small number, 4 people.
No, that my clarification is that you can get access to your storage facility
On Sunday.
on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
He originally
But the office
made,
isn't open.
it's the office that is only open Monday through Saturday. But the gate hours themselves are from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week.
The traffic in that area is so low,
Yeah.
hardly anybody ever comes. Not if it gets full.
But you could have a person come in when nobody was there and blast the radio and have a party and there's nobody knowing what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they won't.
Any other questions from board members? Are there any questions from the public for this witness? There. Not, then we can move on.
The last witness that we have then, Mr. Chairman, is Jessica Caldwell, our professional planner.
Good evening.
Jessica, if you could go through with the board your educational background and your professional background.
Sure. I have a master's degree in urban and regional planning from Portland State University and a bachelor's in planning, public policy and management from the University of Oregon. I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey and certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I've been practicing as a planner for over 25 years. I have a consulting firm, J. Caldwell and Associates in Newton, New Jersey. I represent several boards throughout the northern and central parts of the state. And I've also been qualified before over 250 boards in general as a expert in planning for private testimony. So,
And your license is still in good standing?
yes, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I asked that she be accepted as an expert.
The board accepts your credentials.
Yeah. So the main variance that we have tonight is the D1 use variance. As you've heard, we've been able to correct many of the other variances. There's no issues with the parking. We meet all of the bulk standards. We do have some requests for some variances for the buffering standards, but we are looking to comply as much as possible given the site. And those variances were previously granted, but we want to acknowledge them as well as the karst ordinance that Mr. Finelli brought up. So I think that really encompasses the relief that we're requesting, and I would submit that it's all really subsumed under the D1 use variance, because that's really the bigger variance that we need to get. But I would also note that a D1 use variance was granted for the property originally, but with case law, when you have a D1 variance for a site, you always need another D1 variance if you're gonna come back and expand it. It doesn't now become an expansion of a non-conforming use or something like that, because it was created after zoning was put into place. So we are requesting the D1 use variance, so we need to meet the standards of the Medici case, which show that we need to provide, site particular suitability for the site. And that would serve, purpose A in the general welfare if it's particularly suited to the site. So the site is large. It has ample room for the buildings proposed, and it was in fact approved, as we've heard tonight, for 9 storage buildings, and only 4 were built as part of that, prior approval. So now we're adding the additional 2, and there was also a proposal to create a larger office space. And uniquely, we have existing development, albeit sort of rudimentary, in the areas where the 2 storage buildings are proposed, where we have outdoor storage. And then we also have the mobile trailer where the office is going. So in a lot of ways, the site's being used in the areas where the new development is being proposed. So the site's large enough for the proposed use. There's also oversized stormwater management basin that was built for the original larger approval. So that won't be an issue on the site, and that can be improved now to meet newer standards as well. So I think the site really is uniquely suited to, and particularly suited to, the proposal that we have for a lot of reasons. It's also well buffered, and we are improving the buffering, but given that it's a large site, the developed part of the site's really set far back from Route 57. It's difficult to see. The low profile buildings are only 10 feet tall, so they don't really stand out. You kind of have to crane over and look into the site to see them. And then with the improved buffering, I think this site's really going to fade into the background. We are in the B1 zone. The purpose of the B1 zone is to provide commercial uses surrounding the highway area to serve surrounding residential uses. And so in a lot of ways, we are still promoting that purpose of the zone, even though it's not really a permitted use in the zone. And that's because this type of use does serve residential properties, but it's still a commercial use. So it fits in as a commercial use in the business zone, but it does serve the surrounding area. As well as a really low impact use. We haven't talked about that too much tonight, but storage uses in general are typically very low traffic. People put their stuff into their unit and they don't come back very often. That's why we really only need a couple of parking spaces. That the eight parking spaces is more than enough. 9 parking spaces, because people really don't come and check on their storage that often, and they do once in a while, but it's a really low traffic, low impact use. And we also have someone on site who, if there are any issues, it sounds like the biggest issue might be if someone does go to their site and decides to plug in a radio or something while they're doing some work, that can become a noise issue, but there's someone on site really to correct that. So I think from all of those aspects, we have a positive type of application. We make purpose G, where we provide for a variety of uses. The use is already there, it really substantiates and allows that use to continue and remain viable. We have purpose I, which is a visual improvement. Instead of that trailer in the front, we're going to have a nicer office building that looks more like a house. And to clean that up, no more outside storage, and improve the buffering on the site. And purpose M, which is efficient use of the land. We have existing impervious coverage. We have an existing stormwater basin that can all accommodate this type of use. And being in the Highlands Preservation Area, that's really a benefit to be able to accommodate a little bit of additional development without negatively impacting by increasing impervious surfaces too much and negatively impacting in that way. As far as any negative impacts to the neighborhood, we have those low lighting. We've agreed that lighting's gonna be turned off in the evening. Again, we're a low traffic, low impact type of use, low profile and improving the buffering. I think for all those reasons, we won't substantially impact the surrounding neighbors. And then with respect to the zone plan, the master plan, I think that we still do serve the purpose of the zone in a lot of ways by providing for a use that's available to surrounding properties and still providing a commercial use in the B1 zone along the highway. It's also a longstanding use that's fit well into the area. I think when you have that, looking at the master plan and well, why didn't, the governing body decide to make self-storage permitted in the whole entire B1 zone? But if you look at the larger B1 zone, there's a lot of smaller properties. It's really not necessarily a good idea for the entirety of the B1 zone, but for this specific property where you have some more space and you have some of these particular site suitability aspects, it does make sense. So I think there's good reason why it would be added into the zone overall. So that heightened criteria of why wasn't it added, reconciling it with the master plan. I think you can do that because of the size and the location and the unique aspects of the property. And then I don't think we have any substantial impact to the zone plan as well. I think that's really all my direct testimony at this point, unless anyone has any questions.
Kendra, any questions?
Just one question, Jessica, and I'm not sure, it wasn't testified to, but I think in my report, and this is about the variances. I wasn't sure the building height, if anybody has that information. I want to just make sure that an additional variance isn't needed for building height.
Was 10 feet for the structure, so I'm not sure about the office. 25 feet for the office.
And that's, okay.
Well.
Okay, thank you.
No variance for that, right?
No,
Right, I think it's 35 feet, so.
correct. Yep. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, a couple things. You should really, this is maybe to Mr. Brady. You should really present the architectural to the board, unless everybody's seen it, because I think that's a, not that I should be on your team, but that's gonna help. It's a nice looking building. It's a lot nicer than what you got out there now. I mean, in a big way. So I don't know if you want Jessica or Mike or Ian or someone.
Suppose I'm Miss Cullen to give me her set.
I will have to see.
Oh, here, you want it? You want to play?
Sure.
Here.
I'll take it.
No, okay.
Okay. This is, Mike, you wanna help me maybe a little bit?
Look at the rendering.
I was trying not to have to do that.
That's beautiful.
This is, architectural drawing shows the
No,
office
it's okay.
buildings, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
So the first page shows the office building, as you said, you put it out or maybe even barn. Got standing between no roof, I assume.
We'll have a architectural
Jingle, okay.
stone on the bottom. And the party building. This is the layout of the office. This little section right here. The office. Rest of this is storage. Throughout here. With small 10 by 10 spaces.
That's climate control.
Yeah, you should do it. That's no.
We were talking about the entrances matching up to the. With the site. All these entrances match up with the driveways. coming in. And
Well, no, the
we'll-
site plan, no. The site plan is not consistent with the architectural plan, it's not. So you're gonna have to, the site plan is gonna have to be revised to show egress points in those doors, because right now it doesn't show anything.
Okay.
So it's a simple fix,
Okay.
but they're not together.
But it doesn't match the actual layout, so we can show it better.
However is easier to fix, yeah, I mean, it's not a difficult fix, it's just. The site plan needs to be changed to match the architectural, assuming the architectural, that's what the building's gonna be.
This particular one shows a cupola on top, we're not doing a cupola.
Oh, you're not doing,
We like that.
yeah, that's why I said the building was done. Yeah, that was pretty odd.
And the plan specified a metal roof, not an architectural shingle.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, I think, well, all right, well, I'm glad I brought up about talking about the architecture.
Sheet 4 of 7 shows
Yeah.
number 2, standing seam metal roof.
This is mine.
You have a good set.
I have the steel drawing. No cupola. Well, they have that's it.
Did you submit
That's
this?
it,
set?
unless it's-
I didn't.
Okay,
That's a shingle roof. No cupola.
let's show the first thing.
Okay, so. This was. This
No, it
has
looks
not
like it's
been
missing
submitted
a cupola.
before.
Not been submitted to the board, has to be marked as, I guess, as an exhibit.
Who's-
The
who's
board
in the
doesn't have
file?
it. And you would then, but you
And you have copies for board members,
I wasn't told I had to do that.
where you're submitting something that we
I
don't
thought
have.
this was, I'm submitting this for permit. That's, I didn't know it had to be to the board.
does have.
Yeah, well,
The
we need to talk about this, because
Yes,
this
I
is,
agree.
okay, this is a little left turn here
Right,
at the
I agree.
11th hour.
I agree.
Like, so, right now, your building is this building, not that building.
Building you submitted with the plan, with the application. This building.
That's
That's
the
only
building
thing
that
changed
Greenwich
was
Township
the
is
roofing and the cupola.
gonna vote on.
The only thing that changed. No. I got steel raised drawing.
Everything else is the same,
Everything else is the same.
so why don't we ask the board?
Why the
Like
change?
the cupola,
Why
We
the
like
change?
cupola and we like the metal roof.
and you like the metal roof. Why the change? That's.
Do we like the metal roof?
How much money do you have?
How much do you have?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the other county does over there on. People don't care how much money it costs. But the metal roofing now is very, very expensive. And the cupola was very expensive to install as well, onto a metal roof. So that's why we went with the shingle roof and without the cupola, because it requires additional structure.
What I can tell you, Mr. Hamilton, is this is what could have played out here. You would have gone to construction. And you would have put up a building with no cupola and an architectural roof, not our shingle roof versus metal roof. And I would have shut the job down, because that's clearly inconsistent with what the approval is. I kept talking
Well, I would
about
have
the
to say, I
architectural
apologize if
plans.
You didn't receive this one. I didn't know why you didn't receive it, because I didn't submit anything to the committee. And you do have these. Yes. So we'll have to.
How, well, if the board wants to look at this and the board like the others might check, you know that generally. Well, dollars don't justify variances. This is not a variance, so. On the other hand, if there's a substantial difference, you know how much the difference is between what was originally proposed with the cupola and the metal. And what the architectural shingles, I assume?
Yeah.
And what the architectural shingles are.
Substantially. Yeah.
Meaning 5,000, 50,000?
No, we're looking at $34,000.
Okay.
I just want to look. You let go?
Is the stone still there?
What's that? Yeah, stone is still there. Everything's still the same except for the shingles, which are gonna be blue or green to match the facility. And the cupola, which was just white anyway. You get the cupola back.
You get the cupola back?
Yeah.
You agree to the cupola, but not the metal roof.
Not
You got the hardy board, you need the metal roof. The hardy board's not cheap either.
You need architectural symbols. Shoot.
We're not here to discuss those.
Another correction on your address and your drawings is incorrect as well. Not 171 Route 57. You might want to correct that.
717.
Tonight.
So they can put it somewhere else.
Well, 1 and 7.
Yeah.
The wrong word.
So we should, are you able to submit that? Are we gonna mark that?
Well, why don't we mark it as A2?
Well, I'm gonna have to have all this redone by the architect and have it sealed, because it's Jersey, I have raised seals. They all have to be done there and then melted.
Yeah, you have to do it right. That's right.
So if this is a plan for the record.
Architectural, alliance.
Okay, Architectural Alliance is 1 of 7. Proposed office and climate controlled storage building for Sentinel self-storage. And it's got a date of. 11/29/22.
When you started doing it.
Okay. It's the same building,
Same building.
except has architectural shingles instead of a standing seam metal roof. It doesn't have a cupola, and Mr. Hamilton's indicated he'll have it revised to put cupola.
And change the address. Really.
So,
Correct the address.
Well, let me ask, is the board seen enough to understand what we're talking about? Or do we need to get new plans in here so that we can look at that? I mean, it's technically, it's not. I don't believe that anything in the building is a variance per se, right? It's just.
No,
It's
no,
just-
it's
just-
a
different
treatment,
design.
it's a treatment
It's a
and it's the
treatment.
board, what the board would like to
And,
see.
and we can, and we certainly can consider that.
this is not a situation where that change triggers a variance or we have to put in
No.
proofs. But on the other hand, I've done this for 40 years now. When an applicant shows the board something and it's pretty and it's attractive, you gotta stick pretty close to it unless it's a field change at the last minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I don't wanna continue to dwell on this, but this is interesting, with what, I'll say, what I've heard tonight, which is not what I was expecting. I was just figuring you would show this nice looking building that I have
Right.
here to the board, and the board would look, yeah, that's a nice building, I'm thinking, okay, good.
And that's-
And now
the
it's
building.
not, it's a different building, it's not the same building. So, but I'm not a voting member, that, you've gotta make.
That's why we're
I have
showing it.
Some other
I
questions.
think it's still attractive, the architectural shingles are and standing in the, but when I was younger, standing seam metal roofs went on barns and sheds and chicken coops and stuff. Now they're all the thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Architectural shingles, though, I think are frankly a little more classic. I've got them on my house. They're not cheap either, but
Well, I mean, I like it, but I'm inclined to say there are a number of plan changes that need to be documented on things. We could make them as conditions. But since we don't have copies of that for the board members and they haven't had to look at it, then I'd be inclined to say, come back with the revised plans.
okay.
Both the site plans and the architectural
And
plans.
get everything and get all that stuff squared away, so we know what we're looking at.
Okay,
Your architect is licensed in New Jersey, I'm assuming, correct, Mr. Hamilton? Cause I see Delaware and I see Pennsylvania, I don't. Okay, yes, he is, okay, fine.
I have a question on the buildings, so they're gonna match the existing buildings, right?
we're gonna, in terms of color and
Yeah.
style and whatnot.
The light tan and green.
And
So-
what are they made out of?
Metal.
Metal, thank you.
So board members, just in terms of what I said, or you have any thoughts on that, or you agree with Karen?
I think that makes sense.
If we're gonna do it that way, Mr. Chairman, just so, you know, there's a process, I'm not trying to avoid the process, but I'd like to kind of move this along a little bit. Is it possible to, direct your council to draft a resolution of approval? That way it's kind of in the works, and maybe we can get these plans in before the next meeting, and at that meeting, instead of doing the typical two-step process, approve and memorialize, maybe we can get it all done in one night.
I can say that Mr. Drill will be preparing the resolution. I can't speak for his,
And
his workload.
That complicates, because he's gonna have to listen, he's gonna have to look at your notes, I'm sure, as
Yeah.
well as then listen to the tape
and
or the video.
And given experience, expecting the resolution to be ready for next month, I think is not gonna be easy.
Okay. I thought I would ask.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes on the
I
board.
don't blame you for
It's a good try, Mr. Brady. It was he gave it the old college try. That's to your credit. I have another question for your team though, and I should have mentioned this earlier, probably when during Ian's testimony, actually. Where are you with the Highlands? As far as, Ian, did you do it, or Mike, or whoever? Are we good? I mean, I think you qualify and
Yeah.
but you don't have anything yet, do you?
Not since 2016, where they were deemed not to require anything further.
Well, no, you need, I think you
For
need to
whatever they were doing back then.
submit to the Highlands. You need an approval.
Do you have an exemption process through the municipality? Someone who grants exemptions in Greenwich?
It would be me, I think, but they never actually made the appointment. And because there's been so little activity in the town and there's so little preservation area also. And we haven't opted in. There really hasn't been, believe it or not, any need for an exemption until maybe now. Yeah, I don't.
Wasn't that a previous thing, didn't we like appoint you, but it had to go to committee or something?
Maybe I did get appointed.
I thought I think
We did, right, we talked about this.
That
once.
sounds,
Yeah, we
that
did.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, right, but it was long. It was,
Wasn't final.
right?
It wasn't that long ago, but I remember it.
Did it have anything to do with the, when the paving place was trying to do their changes?
When the what, Eric?
The, asphalt plant was trying to do their changes?
The neighbor.
You know what?
Because that's part of the
Yeah,
Highlands
that's
too.
right. No, they went and they got they got an approval. That was different.
Okay.
This probably qualifies.
There
for
was
an
a
exemption.
discussion on this, and I
Yeah,
thought we
there-
did, but I don't know if it needed township committee, a vote or something, which may or may not have happened. I don't, but any case.
Okay.
Well, there is an exemption number 4 where you can expand a commercial use for any reason up to 25% increase in impervious coverage, so that's what we qualify for.
Yeah. It probably works. So I didn't do the numbers. And I don't know, did you guys run the numbers? Okay, all right. I mean, it probably works. I'm
Okay,
just looking at it.
Okay.
So
So the homework before the
Yeah,
next.
and so we have the public here, let's see, first of all, do you guys have any questions for the plan? If not, then what I'd like to do is if you have any comments, you're welcome to state your comments at this time.
Okay, and for this, you will as well.
Okay.
Okay, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, would you, I'm sorry, state your name again, spell the last name?
Pamela Turner, Turner.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So I just heard a couple of things this evening that were a little different from when you were on the deck talking. One of the things was that you were speaking about putting in a buffer on the side of the fence that would buffer it from our property, but now we're talking about putting in a buffer on the other side of it, which I'm not sure that's going to actually solve the issue. One of the concerns was when you do put in like a natural buffer of trees, and things die, things fall over. It needs to be maintained and guaranteed for a certain number of years, especially in our area with the wind, et cetera. So that would be a concern that I would ask would be raised with your client and be addressed. And also, when it comes to the easement property, we cannot improve upon that to the best of my knowledge. We just leave it there. And
Ma'am,
so-
excuse me for interrupt, but
Yeah.
you talk about the conservation easement in the rear of your property? Okay, I just wanna make sure we're
Yeah.
talking about, continue.
So our fence is on this side, their fence is on that side, and in between is a thicket with game trails going between with deer, et cetera. And so the leaves fall, and 6 months out of the year, we get a straight shot of this property, like just wide open. Which is why we raised the concern, and the fix would be something that doesn't lose its leaves and is tall enough and buffs this whole area for us. So what I heard tonight was somewhat inconsistent. I understand the intention is there. I just asked that some extra care be taken to understand the need and to fulfill the actual need versus just putting this in trees and have it not actually what we wanted.
We're gonna work with the board professionals to come up with an effective buffer. I don't know how that, it's on our property, the security fence is on the property line, more or less. I don't know how that, it's not going to address that concern. It's just simply not. You do have that conservation easement behind your property. I haven't looked at that easement. I don't know if it would allow you to put in trees, have a management plan or something of that nature. But I guess that's something that's on your property, after talking about it. We don't want to go we've decided not to go putting stuff on other people's property. We're gonna put it on our property, which is where we have the right to do it, and where the ordinance anticipates us doing.
So is the fence being right on the property line and not allowing any sort of buffer being on the opposite side of it? Is that consistent with what is acceptable? It's okay to put a fence on property line like that?
Yes.
I assume it met the ordinance at the time it was put up.
And so, just to be clear, living where I live, I can have a 4-foot fence. But right
You
behind,
can't
it,
have
on the
you
other
can't
side,
have a 6, they won't,
I think so.
LOPAT doesn't let you have a 6 in the backyard? I find that will be very unusual.
If there's a difference in the regulations, it's probably because you're in a different municipality.
And I'm not going for business either, so my fence doesn't need to be 9 feet tall with barbed wire. I'm just asking that considerations be made. We're not gonna have whatever they wanna do to that property, as long as we don't see it. So that's where our concerns lie. I just wanted that to be clear. And it's sounding like we're gonna be able to come back and talk about this again, so my husband will be
And
present.
when did you move in, or how long?
2007.
No,
And it's been pretty much consistently trees back there, with the exception of some of the ashes or whatever that are now like losing everything and, but it's not gonna suddenly sprout pine trees. They would have done it by now, so,
Are you the original owner?
no.
No.
No, the original owner was the one that took this up with the board years ago, and they were told then to put up the buffer. And we were told when we bought the house that they were supposed to be doing that, and it didn't happen.
And we don't dispute that. It's in the resolutions. I just want to make sure the board knows. We didn't own it then and didn't operate.
And it wasn't much of an issue until they started to expand into the space, and now we see it, so, you know, back when it was just overgrown, it wasn't a concern. It became a concern when there were boats, RVs, vehicles, people coming at different hours, you know, that's when it became a concern, so. That's.
Some of that should be alleviated without when the RVs and stuff.
That would be great. We just didn't want that to move over, you know, and at the time that we met with Mr. Brady, we did not know what they were gonna do with it, so that was a really, that we heard.
Is there anyone else in the public that has a? All right. So we need
Then you go home. You can just.
Oh, okay, so this application will be continued to the next hearing, which is.
Believe it's.
We just said September 30th would be.
That's a special meeting.
This special meeting on September 30th.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's different.
should they be ready for that?
I don't know.
I tell you what, I'm withdrawing my
It's October 10th.
participation, doing a 30th thing, because. But yeah, I'm not gonna do multiple applications in the 30th.
No, okay, so, yeah, let's do it the 10th, because you got a bunch of drawings to do.
Right.
Yeah, let's do it the 10th.
Yeah, say 30, yeah.
Without,
Yeah,
without further
October
need
10th.
for advertising.
Fine, and I don't know if it's applicable yet, but we'll extend the time for the board to act till the
Yes,
next meeting.
please, thank you.
So that this application is gonna be continued till October 10th at 7:30 PM in the same location. There will be no further notice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That'll be Vivo. That Monday. That's very.
So, you know.
He brought it up. I didn't.
I didn't say that. No, I heard somebody else. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, we did get, you guys, you get that on the escrow balances, you probably didn't finish with that.
I looked at it, yeah. I did.
Trying to look what John Wilson, yeah.
There's
The main thing I was.
McDonald's gonna need.
I bet it's not.
Well, no.
But otherwise, you're right. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
See variance.
Is there any affordable housing update? Come on, guys, let's get through this.
You look at me for.
Yeah.
Because John's not here. Because John's not here. Well, I can only speak on, regarding the Willows site, the Dumont site, moving along. They've been making great progress. I'm sure you've seen the buildings and, what you think, I don't know what you think about architecturally speaking. But they put curb up, they're gonna be paving soon, they've still gotta make their sewer connection, so they're probably only a couple months away from getting like the first CO. So there will be residents, I would suspect, living there in a relatively soon. So.
Okay.
They had a couple moments with traffic control issues with the police department, but keep on. Took care of that. Good night, guys.
Any other issues with the board, or if not, I'll ask for that all important, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
We got Larry and Joe. All in favor? Aye, opposed, abstained, motion passes. And stop recording.
Night.
Aye.
Thank you, Kendra.
Yeah.
She'll just go.
Oh.